Recording in progress.
Morning, everyone, and welcome to Thursday, March 12th. Stands plans. I'll be able to start out the agenda by doing the roll call.
Committee Member McKay.
Here.
Committee Member Warren.
Here.
Committee Member Fry.
Present.
And Chair Aldrich.
Still here.
You have a quorum, sir.
I know Commissioner Miles is on her way up. We do have a quorum. They started anyway. We're going to start out with meeting agenda item 2, the summary approval. No, I'm not starting all over again. Okay, we're going to the meeting summary for February 12th. If everybody's had a chance to look at it, accept a motion for approval. Is there a second? Second. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, same sign. Next agenda item is accessory apartments in the city.
Good morning, everyone. Could we get to the slides for the presentation? And then I'll get started. All right. These are going to be proposed amendments to the Unified Zoning Code regarding accessory apartments. This item was last reviewed by you guys in December. At that meeting, the recommendation was to allow accessory apartments by right in the county. So these amendments reflect that. Next slide, please. Again, the recommended action is to identify the preferred amendments to the Unified Zoning Code regarding accessory apartments and then recommend them by approval by the full Metropolitan Area Planning Commission and the governing bodies. Next slide, please. We're going to go quickly through the background and process so far, the existing regulations, some review in other communities, the proposed changes, and then we'll return to the recommended action. Next slide, please. These are the questions I would like the committee members to keep in mind this morning. Should the Unified Zoning Code be amended to allow faster development for accessory apartments in the city of Wichita? And if yes, should they be allowed by an administrative permit? Next slide, please. Background and process. Next slide, please. This is a flow chart of where we have been so far. This will be the third time we will be reviewing this item here at the Advanced Plans Committee level. We did have a staff meeting with the Board of County Commissioners, and staff also reached out to city staff for their recommendation and their input on what would be the preferred route for accessory apartments within the city limits. After this Advanced Plans Committee meeting, the process would continue with review by the full Metropolitan Area Planning Commission and then final approval by each of the governing bodies, Board of County Commissioners, and the Wichita City Council. Next slide, please.
Raquel, has this gone to the district advisory boards at any step of the way?
It has not.
Thank you.
These are just confirming those dates of those advanced plans meetings and the recommended action. As I stated earlier, this was last reviewed in December by the Advanced Plans Committee, recommended that we go by right approvals in Sedgwick County. Next slide, please. Just a refresher on the information that started all of this. Since 2021, 71 total cases for accessory apartments have been filed in Sedgwick County and the city of Wichita, and 100 of those have been approved at the MAPC level. So quite an uncontroversial, data just shows that they are an uncontroversial land use. Next slide, please. Now we're going to go through the existing regulations, how these are regulated currently by the Unified Zoning Code as written. Next slide, please. This is just the definition. We use the term accessory apartment. It means an accessory use dwelling unit that may be wholly within or may be detached from a single family dwelling unit. Next slide, please. It is permitted by right in the multifamily zoning districts, also general office, neighborhood retail, and the others listed on the screen. As per the definition, accessory apartments must be accessory to a single family dwelling, and they must meet the supplementary use requirements. Supplementary use regulations, we'll go over those in just a moment. Next slide, please. In these, the single family zoning districts, TF3, manufactured housing and neighborhood office, and the rural residential zoning district, these are the zoning districts that currently require a conditional use. So in that data that we showed you earlier, those are the cases that are coming to MAPC. The conditional use cases are primarily in these zoning districts. Again, accessory dwelling unit has to be accessory to a single family dwelling and must meet the supplementary use requirements when allowed by conditional use as well. Next slide, please. These are those supplementary use regulations limiting the number of units to 1 per lot, saying that the appearance shall be compatible with the main dwelling unit and the character of the neighborhood, that the ownership of the accessory dwelling unit must remain the same as the principal single-family dwelling unit, and they cannot be separated, and the utility service for water and sewer provided to the accessory dwelling unit shall be the same as the primary dwelling unit as well. Next slide, please. And then these are the development standards, so the setbacks and building separation and height requirements applied to all accessory structures from the most restrictive district, which is rural residential, through the MH district for manufactured housing. So these are also applied to all conditional uses for accessory apartments. Next slide, please. And this is just a flow chart of what the conditional use process currently looks like. The application is submitted. Our office will distribute public notice to properties within 200 feet of the subject site. The case will be scheduled for hearings by the DAB, by the MAPC, and then the final decision will be made by the governing body. So it is quite a long process. This usually takes 60 to 90 days. The intent of these amendments is to shorten that process. Next slide, please. Now we're going to take a quick look at other communities. Next slide, please. I did a survey of these 10 cities listed. Here's a quick snapshot of the approval processes that they use. So 50% of them allow accessory apartments or accessory dwelling units by right. That is by state legislation. So those states are Arkansas, Oregon, Iowa, and Washington all have state regulation that requires accessory dwelling units to be approved by right. Kansas City is the only city that I surveyed that allows by right approvals without a state legislation. And then the two cities in Oklahoma do a similar process to what we use right now, conditional use or a special use permit. Next slide, please. All right, let's get into the possible changes or proposed changes. Next slide, please. We're going to be modifying multiple things: the term and definition, the approval process, and then the conditions that go along with that. Some of this you guys have seen before. Next slide, please. Again, we are proposing the term be changed from accessory apartment to accessory dwelling unit. Definition remains virtually unchanged. We're allowing that accessory dwelling units be allowed accessory to a duplex as well, instead of just a single family dwelling unit. Next slide, please. Proposed changes. So existing, we have the conditional use process. We are proposing an administrative permit process for the SF5 district and TF3, and then allowing by right for all other districts that were previously allowed by conditional use. That includes the county districts, rural residential, SF20, and SF10. And the districts that were more intensive than SF5 and TF3. Next slide, please. So here we are recommending an administrative permit approval process. This was indicated as the preference by the city staff that we reached out to for the zoning districts within the city of Wichita. Most accessory dwelling units that require conditional use are located, when in the city of Wichita, are located in the SF5 district and the TF3 district. So the administrative permit process is significantly shorter than the conditional use process. It is similar to what is used for short-term rentals and daycare general. It requires a limited public notice to only the properties that are directly touching or across the street or alley from the subject site. And then they are allowed a 14-day protest period after administrative review is completed. Question?
Yes, Raquel, would that notice only be via mail, or would there also be signage on the property?
It would be via mail only, no sign.
Currently, do we require signs?
We do not for short-term rentals, and that's on purpose.
For short-term rentals, but for administrative, or for accessory dwelling units, do we require
Yes.
signage?
Yes, we do, as part of the
So
conditional
this would
use.
take this out?
Well, I think that could be open for discussion.
Okay, I'm
we-
just clarifying.
Yeah,
Right now, it's taking it out.
that's right.
Okay.
And again, as part of the application for administrative permit, a site plan is required. This would be applicable to accessory dwelling units in SF5 and TF3 only. Next slide, please. Again, we are going to be proposing allowing by right in rural residential SF20, SF10, MH, and neighborhood office, with the caveat of TF3 when TF3 is developed as single family, so only a detached single family dwelling unit, then an accessory dwelling unit will be allowed by right in TF3. If there is a duplex developed on TF3, they will have to go through the administrative permit process to allow an accessory dwelling unit. So there is kind of, TF3 is allowed in both by right if it's developed as single family, administrative permit if there is a duplex developed in TF3. And the reasoning behind that is since there is a duplex allowed by right, which is essentially 2 dwelling units, allowing 2 dwelling units detached in the form of a single family home and an accessory dwelling unit is similar and reducing barriers for that. Yes, questions?
But now you're talking about duplexes, so in essence, there can be more than one dwelling out there. Would that still be classified as one on a duplex, or would that now be upgraded to 2?
It will still be a limit of 1 accessory dwelling unit to 1 duplex. And that is, we do have clarifying language that both sides of the duplex need to be under the same ownership and on the same zoning lot, and the number of accessory dwelling units is limited to 1. So if there's a duplex with an accessory dwelling unit, that would be a total of technically 3 dwelling units, 2 attached in the duplex, 1 accessory. But that would be the limit. So still a limit of 1 accessory dwelling unit, not allowing 2 per dwelling unit on a duplex. I hope that answers your question.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Next slide, please. Okay, now we are getting into the regulations. Here is where we are limiting the number of accessory dwelling units allowed. It is a limit of 1 per zoning lot, whether it is developed as single family or a duplex. And then additional language was added for limiting a maximum of 1 accessory dwelling unit may be permitted per each administrative permit application or conditional use, because in some cases, an administrative permit can turn into a conditional use if there is significant protest in that area, or if the applicant is not amenable to any conditions that were recommended by staff or that are required. In that case, the applicant can go through the entire conditional use process to request an appeal. Next slide, please. The appearance. So here we have the appearance regulations divided between the established central area as identified in the comprehensive plan. Any accessory dwelling unit located outside of this established central area, so that includes all properties within the unincorporated Sedgwick County, are not applicable or do not have any additional appearance conditions. So this does not apply. This only applies within the established central area of the city of Wichita. So within the established central area, accessory dwelling units shall be compatible with the principal structure. That's just some general language at the beginning. Next slide, please. And then in order to measure that, we have some different standards to make it less subjective, non-subjective standards in order to measure that level of matching with the existing principal dwelling and the surrounding neighborhood. That is going to be through these categories: architectural style, exterior materials, roof pitch, and the percentage of windows on the facade facing the street. So the accessory dwelling unit shall reflect the architectural style of the principal structure and or dwelling units in the immediate surrounding property. Next slide, please. the exterior materials. So here we have options. We're proposing options in measuring the exterior materials. So the first option would be that the exterior finish materials of the accessory dwelling unit shall be substantially similar in appearance, placement, and percentage of the facade coverage to the exterior finish material of the principal structure on the lot. So that just means the exterior material must be substantially similar to what is existing on the principal structure on the lot. Or if they don't want to match, if the existing structure is brick or some other material that they don't wish to match, the applicant also has the option to use siding. Siding must be from sturdy materials such as wood, composite boards, vinyl, aluminum, or metal, and the siding must be composed in a shingle pattern or a horizontal clapboard or shiplap pattern, and the boards must be 6 inches in width or less. So kind of two options. If the existing house has siding that is wider than 6 inches, then they are allowed to use that same siding or match any existing materials. The ADU can also have that, or the option of siding. Next slide, please. Roof pitch. So again, they have two options. The applicants have two options. The roof pitch must be the same as the existing principal structure, or the pitch of the roof must be at least 6/12. Modern one-pitch roofs will be allowed, so like just a slanted roof, shed-style roof could be allowed if the pitch of that matches the existing principal structure, even though it does not have a hip or a gable, or if the pitch of that slab or shed-style roof is 6/12. So that is also a question. Should we allow those modern style one-pitch roofs, or should we require hip and gable roofs on accessory dwelling units? Clarification there. Next slide, please. Windows, at least 5% of the total area of the street-facing facade shall be windows. This is just making sure that we don't have any solid walls with, windowless accessory dwelling units. Next slide, please. Ownership remains virtually unchanged. The accessory dwelling unit shall remain under the same ownership as the existing single-family dwelling unit or duplex, adding that since we are allowing accessory dwelling units to duplex. And then here's where that clarifying language is. When requesting accessory dwelling units on a lot containing a duplex, both sides must be under the same ownership and on the same zoning lot. Next slide, please. Utility service remains virtually unchanged. We're adding a reference to development standards. So those setbacks that apply to all accessory structures, just referencing that in the supplementary use regulations as well, that they apply to all accessory dwelling units, regardless of what zoning district they are in. Next slide, please. Size, limiting the size of accessory dwelling units in this established central area to 1,000 square feet. So again, this only applies to accessory dwellings within the established central area and not the county. And then removing the parking requirement for accessory dwellings. Currently, one off-street parking spot is required, and this is just proposing that we remove that, the requirement for one. Next slide, please. And here we are back to the recommended action. But before we get to that, I'd like to show some examples of the types of accessory dwelling units that would be allowed and wouldn't be allowed within the established central area, just to give a more visual representation of that. So can I get the next slide, please? So this style of ADU would be allowed within the established central area with the proposed appearance regulations and also outside of the established central area. Next slide, please. Whereas this one would not, unless the existing single-family house that was on the lot had vertical metal siding that looked like this. Next slide, please. This one would be allowed inside the established central area and outside of the established central area, with the assumption that the pitch of this roof either matches the existing dwelling or is at least 6/12. Yes.
Raquel, do you have uh, a slide of what you're classifying as a modern pitch roof?
That's like this modern pitch roof where it doesn't
Modern
have,
pitch roof?
yeah, where it's just one plane at an angle.
What was that you guys called it, a chicken coop?
Right. Next slide, please. This accessory dwelling unit, if you notice the siding, the slats are very wide. So unless the existing dwelling on the lot had siding this wide, then this would not be allowed within the established central area, but it would be allowed outside of the established central area. Next slide, please. And again, here we're looking at the exterior materials. If the existing house has vertical wood siding, then this would be allowed, but that's not something that we see very common, so assuming that it would not be allowed on most properties within the established central area, but would be okay outside. Next slide, please. This one allowed in both. Next. And then, can we go back a slide? No, forward one. This would be allowed assuming, oh wait, can we go back to the stucco one? Yes, thank you. This small stucco accessory dwelling unit would be allowed assuming that the principal dwelling is also stucco, so not prohibiting stucco. Next slide, please. This would not be allowed since it has vertical metal siding inside the established central area, but would be allowed in the county outside of the established central area. Next slide, please. And then similar for this one, the vertical metal not allowed within the established central area, but yes, allowed outside. And then I think that's it.
Scott?
Yes, sir. I do have a correction. So Commissioner Fry, you had asked about the sign. I double checked it, and Raquel, correct me if I'm wrong, but I double checked the regulations, and it does not indicate that there's an exemption for this from the requirement to post a sign. So I was incorrect earlier when I said no sign was required, because signage is required by the MAPC policy for city cases. When short-term rentals came about in that process, there was a special exemption that was provided for short-term rentals by the MAPC. That policy was modified. This one does not have a similar exemption, so signs, notification signs would be required.
Yes.
So I'm curious, if I wanted to build something like this within city limits as an addition to my barn-dominium, I still wouldn't be allowed to build something like this.
If there's the existing structure is made out of similar materials, you're allowed to extend that to your accessory dwelling.
But to clarify, if you wanted to make this a shed without it being a dwelling unit or a garage, you could build it like this within the ECA.
That's correct.
The difference being the definition of an accessory dwelling unit.
Correct.
So all of your examples could exist within the ECA as long as they were not accessory dwelling units.
That's correct.
So my question is, why? Why are we enforcing design standards within the ECA for something that could exist just by the definition of it having a bathroom or not?
Scott?
If I could, a couple of things on the first one is that I think it's important to note that it's not that whether or not it could exist, it's just whether or not it could use the fast track process. And the question in terms of why have the design requirements is because at this point, in order for any of these dwelling units to exist, they have to go through a 90-day process of going through the conditional use. So what we've done is we received feedback that kind of indicated, hey, maybe we're willing to look at like a faster option for it. So we've done that, but in order to help ensure that we don't that they're not controversial projects. We've tried to place some constraints so that the fast track process, again, is for non-controversial ones as opposed to ones that maybe could raise some ire. You notice that the design standards are tailored to be inside the ECA or outside of the ECA. Again, we realize that there's differences in design standard and design styles and how the city has been developed over time, especially between those two areas. So Raquel has indicated out in the county, but I also want to emphasize that outside of the ECA also includes a large portion of the city as well. The ECA generally is about areas built before 1960s and before, and then areas outside of that are outside of the ECA.
So I still understand that, but it seems to me like if you have a barn-dominium and you want to build this accessory dwelling and it's built with this, it's designed the same, it still ought to be able to fast track.
And I think Raquel is, Raquel, do you want to address that if it looks the same as the primary
Yes, if
structure?
it matches, if there's an existing barn dominium built in this style, then it is allowed, you are allowed to continue that onto your accessory dwelling unit if it matches what is already developed on the lot.
Commissioner McKay, did you have a question? Okay.
Could we go back to slide 33 for the recommended action, please?
Question first. We haven't talked about it yet. If the existing property has a requirement for brick, stone on the front, does that requirement go back to the accessory permit?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear the last part of the question.
I'll go ahead and address it. So the question was, if the primary structure, the principal house on the property has a requirement for a brick facade, then would a similar requirement apply to any accessory dwelling unit? And I think the answer would be, it depends. It depends on how that requirement has been placed on the principal structure. If it's because of the HOA, and the HOA requires that all structures have that brick facade, then I would assume that would apply. If it's because of a protective overlay that has been placed in civic zoning over the property, it would just depend on how that reads. So that nuance will depend on how it's spelled out.
Thank you. Could we go back to slide 18? Because this goes back to the question about the process and the fast track. So at what point, if this is approved or recommended action, which boxes in the flow chart are we eliminating?
If I could, Raquel.
Yes.
You essentially eliminate all of them. The changes would be that there would be a notification letter that would be sent out notifying the property owners that are adjacent and abutting this applicant's property. So about 8 properties typically would receive a notice. The case would be approved at the outset. And then what we would do is provide the notification and see if any or how many of the property owners would protest. If that amounts to more than 50%, then it's a valid appeal, and that approval is then denied. And then the property owner has the opportunity to go and pursue a conditional use, which would be this process.
And the conditions and the materials would be submitted as part of the application?
The conditions and materials, oh, you mean?
The exterior.
Yes, sir. That would be part of the application process.
And so that would then be reviewed by staff?
Yes,
and
sir.
it could be denied based on that?
If it does not fit with that, then yes, we would deny it and tell them about the conditional. They've got the option then to do the materials as something that would comply with it, or the option to pursue a conditional use.
And I'm still struggling with the why as to the requirement to have materials match within the ECA when other structures within the ECA could differentiate.
Just simply because we did not want to go the full step of making any materials that they could go through this process. What we were seeking to do was avoid, again, any controversial projects that might occur. But of course, we look to you all about what's the best fit for the community. This is where we've started. We tried to kind of find the middle of the road, but always look to you for what's the best fit.
And then I would also note too that the intent of the ADU is that it's supposed to be a habitable structure. That's why we have certain variables in there like windows and stuff like that, is that folks will be essentially living in these, whereas the example used earlier of a shed or a storage facility, it's typically used for those purposes.
But again, all of the examples that were denied within the ECA could be lived in if they had a bathroom. I mean, it's a judgment call that we're making, that we're trying to put on this ordinance as to what is acceptable materials and what is not. When any one of those could easily be a living quarters if they had a bathroom in it.
Yes, if they've got a place to prepare a meal, they've got a restroom, they've got sleeping quarters, then it qualifies as a dwelling unit. And yes, you're right. You could build a shed out of any of these examples and have it be a shed. The question is just, for us, was if we do a fast track process, how do we, should there be any differentiation or any standards that folks have to meet?
Again, I'm not objecting to the fast track and the process. I'm just trying to understand the why of requiring materials to match when they don't have to for garages or sheds.
And at the same token, if somebody is in an HOA, they're still gonna be governed under what that, the covenant is on there. Yep. Yeah. Exactly. Any additional questions or concerns? Any comments? If not, the recommended action is that we move this for approval to the full board of the MAPC. Is there a motion to that extent? Yes, Commissioner McKay?
How many people outside of this room have had a chance to study this? We're asking for approval.
To this date, there's not been any public events. We've not had a public open house, done a survey or anything. So
I'm talking about commissioners.
we have not. So the county commissioners are familiar with this, and
No,
for the
I'm
county
talking about
process.
planning commissioners.
Oh, no, you are the first and only planning commissioners aware of this so far.
Okay, we do need to move this to make sure that the rest of the planning commission has an opportunity to look at it and review it before they make a decision on it. But as far as what this board is concerned with right now, we can move this forward to the rest of the planning commissioners, correct?
But the motion will be different,
Yeah.
absolutely different.
Because you're asking us to consider two options here. One is by permit and another is by right. But is the request by staff to recommend option one, option two, or both, or just to forward this to the MAPC for discussion and action?
Well, there's two parts to this. The first is the county, and by right, you've provided a recommendation to the full MAPC to proceed with that. Then, after proceeding with that, we discussed about the city with some city staff and internally, and so we are presenting to you primarily today is really a discussion about, along with that county change, should there also be a change to the city to do it not by right, but to do it by administrative permit. And so today we're looking to you to see if you're comfortable, if you want to make a recommendation that the full MAPC consider that, and if you think that that's a good option that fits the needs of the community, or if there's an alternative that you would like us to maybe work on or different options you'd like us to explore before it goes to the full MAPC.
Commissioner McKay?
Well, I'd like to make a motion, if it's appropriate at this time, that we advance plans committee forward this to the full committee, full planning commission for further study. And if you want to pick a date certain to bring it back up and put it on the agenda, that's fine too. But
I don't believe that we'll need a date certain. We'll just go ahead and work to schedule it on an MAPC agenda, probably one that's a little bit lighter than 15 items, but, so that way you can have a good discussion.
That way, there's only 5 or 6 of us that's even seen this thing.
Okay, so we have a substitute motion, then basically move it to the full MAPC for a review process. Is there a second on that? We have a motion and a second. All supportive of the substitute motion signify by saying aye. All opposed, same sign. The substitute motion passed 5-0. Raquel, thank you for your presentation. The next agenda item is any Kansas legislation updates, and talk slowly.
Okay, I'll talk slowly. Okay, there are multiple bills going through the Kansas legislation this session that the Metropolitan Area Planning Department has written up comments for that might affect the work that we do here. So I will go through those one by one. We have 4 that we're going to go through. First is Senate Bill 418, by right housing developments. So Senate Bill 418 could potentially affect accessory apartments, accessory dwelling units, what we just were talking about, by requiring them to be allowed by right statewide. It's state legislation. In addition to accessory dwelling units, it would allow single-family homes, duplexes, and townhomes approved by right in any residential zoning district. It would also establish a 15-day window for denial for housing applications related to zoning and land use. It would create the option to allow third-party reviews of development documents and building inspections. That is something that a city would have the option to opt into, allowing third-party reviews. It would permit single-family residences with less than 3,000 square feet to be permitted on a lot of 3,000 square feet, subject to reasonable setback requirements. And it would modify the state-required procedures for rezoning land to single-family zoning by exempting those cases from the requirement to send written notice to other property owners within 1,000 feet in the unincorporated county and 200 feet in the city.
Okay, what was the bill number again, and who was the sponsor?
I do not have that information off the top of my head. If legal could please look that up. Thank you. Moving along, this bill raises multiple concerns. First, with duplexes and townhomes being allowed in single-family areas or other areas where they are currently not allowed. This could result in complaints from residents and property owners in the city and county who are familiar with existing processes and would expect local government process to go through as normal. This could also result in complaints from residences and property owners because the typical duplex design utilized in Wichita consists of garages that are in front of the front door, garages and duplexes, with the driveways and the garage taking up majority of the facade and the front doors
Raquel,
in the back.
just real quick. Senate Bill 418, current sponsors are Senator Rose and Senator Masterson. Let's see, committee report recommended bill be passed as amended by the Committee on Commerce, Labor, and Economic Development as of Wednesday, March 11th.
Thank you.
I'll ask my question. Does local authority have any jurisdiction over this? Now, the way you and Ed was explaining, I think they do, or do they?
He's asking if home rule would be able to, is that what you're asking, John?
Well, it's part of home rule. Not really the home rule.
So the way that I've interpreted the bill is that this would essentially allow any residential in any district that allows residential, and it would supersede anything that the city or the county have in place.
Yeah, home rule would not apply. It would preempt city statute, city ordinance.
So those are the major concerns with that bill, Senate Bill 418. Next, we have House Bill 2481. That's regarding short-term rentals. This bill would increase the number of bedrooms from 1 to 3 for a location to qualify as a hotel, motel, or tourist court, requiring the collection of transient guest tax. That change would be permanent and exempt short-term rentals with fewer than 3 bedrooms from paying transient guest tax. Additionally, it would prohibit municipalities from placing limitations on short-term rentals from May 15th, 2026 to July 25th, 2026. And so the concerns with that one for staff would that the bill would override local control of short-term rentals from May 15th to July 15th, which could cause confusion when expected regulations are not enforced. The proposed bill is also not clear on what happens to those short-term rental applications or short-term rentals that pop up and are open during that period from May 15th to July 25th, once that time period expires. Are they still valid afterwards? Do they expire? That's one of staff's concerns. And then the proposed bill would also permanently alter when gas tax applied to short-term rentals.
Raquel, who's sponsoring that bill?
Again, 2481.
Currently sponsored by Representative Reeves.
I'm sorry, what was that?
Representative Rivas.
Thank you.
Okay. The next one is Kansas House Bill 2343. This one is actually proposed in 2025, and they're bringing it back. This one is regarding home occupations. This would reduce local authority for zoning regarding home occupations, so businesses operated outside of the home. It would limit the regulatory authority and inspection authority, and it could also make it harder for cities to conduct routine fire, building, and health inspections. So staff's main concerns with that is, again, not allowing regulation of home occupations as we have been, limiting local authority there. And it's highly likely that some home occupations could lead to complaints of pollution, traffic, parking, noise, lighting, and smells are all previous issues that have come up regarding home occupation, and this bill would limit local ability to enforce home occupations.
And what was that? Was that a House bill?
That's House Bill 2343.
It was originally sponsored in 2025 by the Committee on Commerce, Labor, and Economic Development and reintroduced this year.
Wonder what their logic was.
And then the last one is Kansas Senate Bill 124. This one is regarding unilateral annexation. This would basically prohibit unilateral annexation by not allowing annexation of unplatted tracts or lands used for agricultural purpose regardless of the size. The impacts, this would restrict the ability of the city to grow in an orderly fashion. The legislation, small agricultural properties. If we couldn't annex those small agricultural properties, it could cause islands or even large sections of the city that could not be annexed and would limit the ability of the city to grow in an orderly fashion. And that's Kansas Senate Bill 124.
Commissioner Fry, do you have a question?
No, I was just gonna say, I appreciate this update, and in the future, could we get a printout of all of the bills with a quick summary on it to have, that way we wouldn't have to be going back and forth asking and trying to track it, that'd be helpful. But I do appreciate the update, thank you.
For sure.
Well, piggybacking on that, of what we were just discussing today, can we have a copy of that with the Senate and House bills? And also, can you redline staff's position and basically why staff has took that position on those, so we have a little bit more of a better understanding of the back and forth on the ramifications of these bills?
Sure. This is the first time that we've done this. I've learned a lot already just in 5-10 minutes here. So Raquel, thank you for doing it.
Of course.
You know, we don't really know how best to do this, so thank you for going through it. What we can certainly do is get you a copy of the webpage that has kind of where it's been, what the progress has been. I think that would be really helpful, and then maybe a version or a copy or printout of the current language that is being discussed and proposed. In terms of our analysis, I'd like to keep it, I do understand the request and I would love to give you that, but I think at this point, we'll just do it verbally at this point. And the reason why is because the planning department provides our analysis to both the city and the county so that they, if they choose, can take official action on it. And we've got to circle back and see if they have any letters or anything that they've sent or have a formal position on it. But the intent of this is just to make you as planning commissioners aware of what legislation is currently going through and what the significant changes, if there are any, that could result to the planning process and how you operate as a planning commission. So I think providing the verbal analysis and giving you a heads up is really just the intent at this point. And then we'll circle back and give you any formal letters and positions that either the city or the county take on it.
I just think that we would be interested in knowing, you know, what staff's comments are for the ramifications if something should happen to, you know, to pass or fail.
Let's keep the conversation going. Let's see what we can work out. Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Do you have any more updates?
I don't have any more updates.
Raquel, thank you.
Thank you.
For doing this. It's something we asked for, and boy, you started out right off the bat. Much appreciated. So, next item is agenda item number 5, data centers. I know there's a few people here that's been waiting for this agenda item. We will have you will have an opportunity to speak on this, but it will be at the end of the agenda. We still have to get through our agenda, so if you'd be patient with us, we would appreciate it very much. Justin, you're on, sir.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and committee members. Justin Constantino with the planning department to discuss an update on data centers. I will note that this is a receive and file action item, so no action will be formally taken today. It's primarily informational, and I will also note that we're not considering any current data center applications at this time. So I just want to give you a brief update. On January 14th, the Sedgwick County Board of County Commissioners imposed an interim development control for approximately 90 days on the consideration or issuance of any conditional use permits or building permits for applications that involve data centers. On March 4th, the interim control development period was extended to June 11th. The purpose of the extension was to allow staff additional time to research data centers in anticipation of potential unified zoning code and comprehensive plan amendments. Staff is currently working with the Berkeley Group. They are a consulting firm. They are assisting us in developing a research white paper that will be made available to the public once that is complete. Additionally, there are several upcoming public events regarding data centers, including one this evening. March 12th, Board of County Commissioners will be hosting a listening town hall at 6:00 p.m. That'll be at the Sedgwick County Extension Office. That's 7001 West 21st Street North. As of yesterday, 8:30, there was a venue change. So it was previously at the Ruffin Building, but I can confirm that that event venue has changed to the Sedgwick County Extension Office. Again, that event will be held at 6:00 p.m. this evening. I will also note that on March 31st, the Planning Department, in coordination with other departments with Sedgwick County, we will be hosting a data centers public open house from 4:30 p.m. until 7:00 p.m. That will also be at the Sedgwick County Extension Office, 7001 West 21st Street North. We will be discussing the zoning protocols currently in place, what has been explored, and provide an opportunity for public discussion and feedback. So both of those events will be held at the Sedgwick County Extension Office. We do encourage folks to attend those meetings for additional information. We also host a webpage dedicated to data centers with the most up-to-date information that's available at wichita.gov. So you can go there and we will have all of those meeting dates posted. I know Sedgwick County Communications has also been actively posting those meetings and events on their social media as well. So we will continue to utilize the Advanced Plans Committee meetings as a forum to provide you with the most up-to-date information. And then again, any changes, ultimate changes to the Unified Zoning Code or Comprehensive Plan regarding data centers will occur starting at the Advanced Plans Committee and then ultimately roll through to the full Planning Commission, onto the Board of County Commissioners and City Council. So that's just the update on data centers for now, and I'm available for any questions.
Any questions for Justin regarding data centers? Seeing none, thank you, Justin. Next item on the agenda is College Hill overlay, and Justin.
Sure. Just wanted to provide you with a quick update on College Hill. So the neighborhood plan was officially approved by the Wichita City Council back in July of 2025 and the Sedgwick County Board of County Commissioners in August 2025. This is a two-part process, the first one being the neighborhood plan. As I mentioned, that's approved. We're currently working on the second portion of the project, which is the overlay. So the staff team, the project team, we released 2 public surveys in December of 2025 to gather additional public input on potential residential and commercial design guidelines, standards, in the College Hill neighborhood. We received 138 responses on the residential survey, 69 responses on the commercial survey, and this group has gotten together as recently as yesterday. So on March 11th, the steering committee got together to review the residential survey results that came about from that December survey. And we had a really good meeting, and the intent of that is to essentially take those survey results and based on that feedback, put forth formal recommendations that would ultimately go into the overlay document. We will be doing the same thing, not this week, not next week, but the week of the 23rd. The steering committee will reconvene to review the commercial design guidelines. So once that committee decides what they would like to see in that document, we will ultimately have a public open house to discuss that draft document. And then they will get together to make a formal recommendation to the governing bodies. So that process is moving along. We've had several successful meetings, and the next one should occur during the week of March 23rd. So those are all available to the public. All that information is available at wichita.gov/College Hill.
Justin, thank you. Any questions or comments for Justin? Seeing none, thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Next agenda item is the MAPD updates. Planning Director Waddell.
Yes, sir. So thanks for this opportunity. Just take you through the handout, as always. So the first page, actually onto the second page, we've got our statistics on the number of cases that have come to the MAPC so far this year. So far, we're at 54 cases. And so I think we're on pace. We're on pace to have about 207 cases this year, which we got off to a bit of a slow start at the beginning of the year. But what we've seen, if you go on to page 3, is that the caseloads coming through have picked up. So what we see is that for the meeting on March 26th, for instance, we have 14 non-subdivision items that are scheduled for that agenda. So things have picked up. It's been nice because we were pretty swamped at the end of last year, so it's been nice to have a little bit of a break. The other thing that break has provided us is an opportunity for staff and current plans to be doing some cross-training, which has been something that we've wanted to do for quite some time. So it's been an opportunity to get folks up to speed on landscape reviews, is also more experienced doing planting reviews as well. Speaking of which, on page 4, we've got the subdivision cases. We're at 17 through March, which puts us on pace to have approximately 65 at the end of the year, which would be less than what we did last year, but more than what we did in 2018. So kind of in the middle is what we're on pace for right now. In terms of the number of lots, we're at 641, which you'll see at the bottom of page number 4. That's the green bar. So not a lot of lots being created. That tells us that we've seen a lot of smaller subdivisions probably out in the unincorporated county that have come through. And then also on the bottom of page 4, you can see the split between city and county cases. Top of page 5, you can see the number of cases in the chart representing that. We did have a subdivision meeting not too long ago where we topped out at about 6 cases, which is quite a bit for our staff. On to page 6, administrative adjustments. So you can see we've had 19 administrative adjustments come through. The majority of those have been for setbacks. So we've seen quite a few that involve duplexes, looking for just a little bit more space to be able to fit the structure on there, or garages or accessory structures that have taken place in the rear of the property. On to page 7, our staffing capacity. We are fully staffed, which is great, except for one position that has been frozen in advanced plans. On to page 8, in terms of website hits, we weren't able to get that information for February, so we're looking to get that for February and March to update you. But my assumption is that it's fairly standard, with the most of our website hits being people who are looking for information about particular cases or about our particular codes. So. On to page 9, short-term rentals in the city of Wichita. We are seeing the pace of those applications pick up. We're not seeing any regulatory changes, but we're seeing more of those come up. And that, again, is because we've hired a part-time position to do enforcement. And so I think they're chasing quite a few of those out of the bushes, so to speak, folks trying to get in line with the regulations on that. Number 10, short-term rentals in Sedgwick County. We have not seen a lot of activity on there, nor did we expect to. This one has been wrapped up in terms of the regulatory changes, so we might even take that one off the list if everyone's okay with that for these regular updates. Public notifications for the city, number 11. So this is scheduled for April 14th. Well, actually, yes, April 14th. Actually, today, later on today for the MAPC, and then we anticipate April 14th for the City Council and the County Commission on May 6th. Development signs in Sedgwick County, no updates on this one. That's on page 12. Event centers in the county, number 13, page 13. That one's coming back to you on April 9th. We got some really good questions during some briefings with the county commissioners. So there's some things that we'd like to revisit with you all and see if there's any changes you'd like to recommend to that one. The one that comes to mind, top of mind, is the parking and where the parking can and cannot go, and specifically should it be allowed to go into the setbacks. So we'll be posing that question to you on that date. College Hill overlay, you just got an update on that one on page 14. And then parking and zoning, as well as the comprehensive plan update, so 15 and on page 16. Both of those, we're waiting for the steering committee to get formed on that, and we've had some discussions with legal about how the a joint resolution would work, and that's been kind of complicated. So we've gotten some good feedback from them and look forward to engaging folks on that conversation about how best to proceed. Accessory apartments, had a really good discussion about that this morning, so thank you. That was very helpful. That's on page 17. And then on page 18, you got an update on the data centers.
Is there any questions or comments for, yes, Commissioner Fry?
Thank you. Scott, the senior planner position has been frozen for how long?
Oh, I think at least 3 years, sir.
And is that going to continue to stay frozen? I mean, what's the holdup? Is it necessary? I mean, if it's been held for 3 years.
Yeah, I expect that will be part of the budget conversations this year. There's trade-offs on this one. On one hand, if it was unfrozen, we were able to fill the position, we'd have another planner sitting here who could work on these projects and more. On the flip side, though, what's happened is that position, by being frozen, has resulted in savings. And at the end of the year, those savings get divided and split up and sent back to the city and the county. But A portion of those in the past, at least in the last 3 years, we've been fortunate to be able to reallocate those funds towards other projects. So those have helped us to secure contracts with consultants to help out with work that we didn't exactly expect, also for other upgrades and improvements. So there's a trade-off on that. So but I do expect that conversation to come up this year in the budget.
Any additional questions or comments? Hearing none, thank you very much, appreciate it. Now we're going to go to the public comment item on the agenda. So if there's anyone here from the public that'd like to speak on any of the agenda items, now is your time to do so. You will have 3 minutes. I'm assuming you're probably here for the data centers. Keep in mind that we're literally at that first step on this. So our knowledge, and you probably have more knowledge about this than we do at this time. So you're welcome to come and please be respectful if you would. And again, you have 3 minutes starting now. Please identify yourself, your name and address, and you're on.
My name's Kara Quinn. I reside at 27311 West 4th Street in the Garden Plain area. It's northeast of Garden Plain. These data centers that we're looking at are not your normal data centers that we've known for the past 20 years. These are hyperscale AI. Land proposed to be purchased between the Garden Plain and Andale area is over 1,000 acres. The largest hyperscale AI in the US is right at 1,200 acres. So we're right up there at the top of the scale. What's 1,000 acres? That'd be close to 250 Walmarts. That's close to 760 football fields, including both end zones. It's a lot of area. It's going to displace a lot of water. It's going to take a lot of water. It's going to affect our environment in great ways. You're talking about farmland out in western Kansas, small communities like Andale and Garden Plain. It's clear these companies are trying to move quickly, and I appreciate your taking your time and looking at these. These are quiet farming, ranching communities. We're concerned about traffic, water usage, noise pollution, and pollution in general. The generators used at these facilities are the size of buses, and they don't just use one. There's anywhere from 100 to 350 of these generators. They're diesel running engines. Even the low frequencies, when these hyperscale units are running at their optimum, the low frequencies are enough to be worried about. And as far as I know, there's no regulation on low frequencies. But they have known there's a World Health Organization does have an ICD code for vertigo from ultrasound or from infrasound. So there are sicknesses that happen just from the low frequencies when the diesel generators aren't going. So these are our concerns. There's schools in these areas. There's small cities in these areas. There is an informative meeting in the Garden Plain Auditorium on Monday, the 23rd at 7:00. In the past, we had one in Colwich. We had panel members there, 6 to 7 panel members that have divvied up areas of expertise. So energy, water, economical. They're very informative meetings, and I invite you all to come to those. That's Monday, the 23rd in Garden Plain. Thank you for your time.
And thank you. If you can give Director Waddell that information, he can get that out to the commissioners. And thank you very much for that information. Are there any additional speakers that would like to speak about anything additional on top of that? Yes, sir. Please state your name and address, and you have 3 minutes, sir.
Good morning. My name is Tim Mullen. I reside at 6718 North 135th Street West in Colwich. Justin, thank you for the update on the data center. I would like to add for consideration on the flow chart that you proposed last time, that we might want to add an additional open house meeting after the committee has put together a draft zoning code. And the reason I say that is because of the impact that this is for the whole county. And I know it might take a little more time, but I think it'd be more beneficial to where the community as a whole with a town hall meeting might actually be able to, and you guys could walk through what the changes are so we can have a better understanding of what will become the regulations. Second out, commissioners, I would encourage you guys to attend the meeting tonight. It will be very, I think, informative for you to see how the rest of the county is viewing these data centers. I know it's a lot of time, but you might, that way you won't be always inundated with the kind of stuff that might be going on here. You can see it, and you'll see too, I believe, the real impact of how the county, the community is responding to all this. The other thing, I think we do need to put constraints on these guys. I think we need to think about exactly where's the best location to put these data centers. What's the correct size? Like was stated, these things could range anywhere from the size of a Dillon's grocery store to the size of Town West and Town East Square. That's 1 million square feet. We need to be concerned about the power and about the water. And I'll just leave it at that because there's a host of many more issues we could talk about. But those are the big ones that I want to make sure. And on the flow chart, to add that extra time in there, I think it would be very productive for everybody. And commissioners, for you guys to maybe consider attending that open house tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Is there any additional comments? Yes, sir. Again, please come to the podium, your name and address. You have 3 minutes.
Mike Betson, 19223 West 29th Street, North. I was here a month ago and talked about the data centers and a couple of points. First of all, thanks for recognizing it's going to take a lot of work. And as I said last time, these are not a normal business. This is a brand new industry, and what we have to get used to is they are totally different. I call them a beast. It's amazing in the last 6 months with across the nation, the communities are all coming together and actually bringing factual information. The companies are now addressing the water consumption and all the new technology that's out there. They're addressing the power, who's paying for it. They're addressing noise is starting to come up because issues are coming up on noise quite a bit. And what I've talked to, and we've had some discussions, Tim and several of us, is we got to challenge these businesses, industry. And I worked in industry for 35 years, large chemical company across the globe. We got to challenge them to think different and not just say, this is what you want, we're going to give it to you. We're going to start pushing back on them. That's what's happening with water and power and noise, and there's a whole slew of things. So one of the things I've been looking at, and I don't accept it, is the generators. There's a new application in Indiana just last month, and they're wanting to add 179 generators. 166 of them are 4,000 horsepower diesel generators. Now, they classify as emergency generators. And one thing in the industry, if it's an emergency generator backup, you don't have the same regulations about pollution control. You don't have the scrubbers on it. You just have a big generator sitting out there. And so I did a little bit of calculation, and they're permitting, asking for only 84 hours per year of running these things. They will put out 32 tons of particulate matter. That's in their permit. I'm using their numbers. They will put out 237 tons of NOx. And I could go on, and quite a bit of volatile organic. The other thing is, these are diesel. And there is one in, another one in Indiana that's asking for close to 400 of these. And they will run more than that. There is permissible run hours in the regulations. They say they're only asking for 84. They could run up to 500 hours in a year if they had a case that said there was disruptions or whatever. So, and the other thing is, they're gonna have 1 million gallons of storage on site with about 180 belly tanks, I call them. And if these were all running, and it'll be loud, it's gonna be loud, I don't care what they do, it's gonna be loud. They can use 35,000 gallons of diesel fuel an hour. So there'll be a lot of transportation going on too, because they'll run those belly tanks if everything was equal in 27 hours. And they're asking to run 84, but they could run more than that if they actually had to. So my real case is we need to harden these facilities. We need to challenge the industry. So I'll leave it at that.
Appreciate your comments. Thank you very much, and believe me, we are taking notes.
I know you are, and we're going to keep supplying you a lot of stuff.
I appreciate it, sir.
It's good research. This is all factual data.
We're learning a lot here too, so we
Yep.
very, very much appreciate it. Is there any questions for this gentleman? Saying none, thank you, sir. Is there anybody else that would like to speak? Any additional comments? Now is your time. Last call. Yes, sir. Please state your name and your address, and you have 3 minutes from now.
Good morning. My name is Steven Solentrop. I actually reside in Wichita, 3849 East English. So I was here for a couple different reasons, the College Hill overlay, but I'd like to take a few moments to speak on the data center issue. I'm currently president and CEO of Legacy Bank. Our charter is based in Colwich. The state recognizes us as a Colwich-based institution. Years ago, we were predominantly an ag bank, and now we are a commercial institution working with a lot of builders and developers throughout Sedgwick County and beyond. And I do respect that although there is no application and no action to be taken on data centers, I do think it's worth going on record. All of these concerns that are mentioned are extremely valid: water, electricity, pollution, and so on. But I'd like to touch on the economic development side of things. Again, working with a lot of developers and builders, some of the proposed areas that they're talking about are prime real estate, certainly for agricultural in the time now, but well into the future. These are areas that are primed to help grow our communities. We have a lot of homeowners that value the school sizes that are in the Renwick School District and want to find that as a place to live. And I'm afraid of what may come being a data center, pushing those types of things out of our area, impacting our schools, our businesses, our churches, and so on. I just came from a conference in San Diego last week, meeting with a bunch of different bankers, and the data center topic is top of mind across the country. Talked with bankers in Ohio and in Virginia where they have these data centers, and the impacts that were spoken to are being experienced. So again, know and appreciate that you continue to gather your information and all your data. I cannot for the life of me still understand the small amount of pros that there may be for some of these types of things. I certainly feel that the cons outweigh all of that. So thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Is there any additional comments? Last chance. If not, thank you very much for your comments. Very much appreciated. I'm sure we'll be seeing all of you all again. And I just ask that you give us some patience. This is brand new, and we're getting educated ourselves on this. Next agenda item, there's no other additional business. So our next meeting is April the 9th at 10 a.m. And if there's nothing else, we are adjourned. Thank you.
How widespread was it?
That's a good question. Justin, did you